Hello everyone, Jeff here from Respawn Studios, back with episode 2 of my Up the Ladder series, where we try to reach Legend in the June 2015 season of Hearthstone. So this is the deck I was using in part 1, just in case you missed it or need a little refresher. It's a Tempo Mage deck. I don't use Flamewaker though. I went on my mini rant about why I think it's a terrible card for especially this kind of deck in part 1. Even though I had been running 2 Arcane Missiles, and I do so for the 4 games featured in this part 2, I did this video afterward, and I think it would just make more sense to have another mid-range minion. So I'm going to put in a second Piloted Shredder here. I don't know if this choice is going to work out though, because I'm 6-1 this far through 2 episodes, so a little, I guess, spoiler. But I win 3 of my 4 games in this one. I'll win the first 2, lose 1, and then win the final one. But there we go, there's the mana curve. There's a lot of 2-cost things, but you're not going to always play them at turn 2 or 3 or 4. Alright, but anyway, here we go. We're first going to face a Control Warrior, and this guy goes absolutely ballistic with sending me friend invites after the game to try and trash talk, I'm sure. So I just keep denying him, and he keeps sending me friend requests. It's kind of pathetic. I even make a misplay in like turn 4 or 5 or something, but you'll see. This is a fun little game here. Alright, so that's actually one of the ideal 3 cards to get in your mulligan, your starting hand here. And we're going first so we can play out the Mana Worm. If you're going second, you're probably looking for Mana Worm, and then you could coin out, say, Mirror Image. So you have 2 O2s with Taunt protecting your now 3/3 Mana Worm. That's pretty sweet. Alright, so of course you play the Mana Worm turn 1. And as I mentioned last time, most of the warriors you likely are facing in the ranks on the ladder are Patron Warriors. So they have some things that look like a Control Warrior, but they're mostly waiting to do combos with the Frothing Berserker. There's probably some Unstable Ghouls, but of course Grim Patron. So I don't know why he gets so mad that I kill off an Armor Smith. I don't know what he was planning to do with it. Maybe he's mad that he didn't draw any weapons, so he can't kill it. So he keeps saying, I will crush you, and to egg him on, I'm saying thanks and greetings. So we're just going to stay on curve, kind of. I mean, we could have played a Sorcerer's Apprentice and frozen him with a Frostbolt, in case he might have had a weapon, but there's not really a need to have done that, so yeah, we don't use all 3 mana crystals, but it's fine. Alright, so here I'm going to play both, so my spells become 0 cost, and I was debating for a little bit whether to use Flame Cannon or Frostbolt here. Frostbolt is valuable, of course, because it freezes, whether it's a minion or, even better, most likely later, his face. But, you see, I'm debating for a long time. Eventually I do go with Flame Cannon here. And he's just so mad. But here, this was the misplay. I end up using Frostbolt anyway, and I'd already attacked with Mana Worm, so I had lost 1 damage. But apparently, he was just so mad, or whatever draws he got, he thought were bad enough that he conceded right away. There you go. He sent me the friend request, and I decline it, and he keeps sending it. Alright, so there's game 1 of the 4 games that'll be featured here in part 2. And now for game 2, to make this a 5-game winning streak to start the series, so that's pretty awesome. We'll be facing a, looks like kind of standard control mid-range Paladin. Normally now you run into either the crazy aggro Paladins with like Leper Gnomes and Divine Favor playing lots of low-cost things, or the Dragon Paladin. But this seems the more stable Paladin that was popular about 2 months ago. And it's still very effective. It doesn't really have any inherent weaknesses. I guess surviving against aggro is like a control paladin's most difficult, but if it gets to like turn 5 and you're fine, you're golden. So you see I keep getting friend requests on that warrior who's still very mad, it seems. Or maybe he actually did want to say, "You're great, that was a brilliant deck, well played," but nope, that's most often not why you get friend requests after you beat someone. Alright, so I could have pinged his 1-1 on turn 3, but why? So I just play my secret and attack with the scientist to face. Alright, now this turn there isn't really much to do, so I'm just going to get rid of his minion. There's no point in fireballing the face or freezing him. I don't really have anything to play out. Like, you would only freeze him, of course, if you already had a minion that you were saving from being killed by the sword. So that is the biggest giveaway, that he's a standard paladin, a mind control tech. Well, I guess he technically still could have been a dragon paladin, but by this point you would likely have seen some signs of that. Either the technician or some other card. So I'm going to play Lotheb here. What would have been devastating is if he had a Aldor Peacekeeper and he reduced my attack to 1 on Lotheb. But luckily he did not. The problem though is the only minion in my hand is Dr. Boom, so I'm kind of weighted down by 2 fireballs and a frostbolt, which is less than ideal. So because I have both fireballs, I decide it's worth using one to get rid of the 3/5 form of the Sludge Belcher. And then I'm going to frostbolt to get rid of his 3/3, so I keep the Lotheb at 5/4, and he now has a clear board, so it's the best possible outcome there, the most efficient. Now he plays the Lotheb to counter mine. So the debate here, of course I'm going to play Dr. Boom, but to go face or not. Now I have Dr. Boom out, and if I kill his 5/5, he would have nothing else. If I did not kill the Lotheb, he could have attacked into Dr. Boom and consecrated to get rid of 3 of my 4 guys, and Lotheb would have been a 5/2. So I really think trading was the smart choice there, of course. There's no need to have 4 minions sitting out there and let him have a 5/5 when I could trade my weakened 5/4 into his 5/5 and clear his board at the same time. Alright, so now here's the typical Tempo Mage pile-on. I now have 6 things on board and a secret. I don't know what secret he thought I had that he used Muster for Battle there to draw out the counterspell. But maybe that's the only other spell he could have used, because he really wanted to use the Consecration to get rid of a lot of my guys there. Okay, so now that I have some minions, we're going to play some. Arcane Missiles cost 0 here, but unfortunately it misses all attempts at hitting the Drake. All it had to do was hit him once and I could have pinged it. So now I just ping face. There's no point in making it a 4/1. He's going to trade somehow with my minions, so that's why I don't ping there. And you see he's taking his grand old time here on this turn. That was my other mini rant in part 1 if you missed it, about how long it takes people to make their decisions. He's also using the card back that you got from hitting rank 20 in May, but I don't really like it. The new one for this month, for June is this kind of Druid themed forest one. That's pretty badass. Alright, so this is kind of his last ditch effort to clear my board using both knife jugglers and a muster, but you see I'm sitting on fireball, so I say I'm sorry. He got a lot of good juggles to be able to clear the board too. But we won. Nice little game there, kind of standard for Tempo Mage. That's the good thing about Tempo Mage. It's pretty hard not to get a good starting hand. I got some bad starting hands in part 1 and you saw I was still able to win, but there's so many 2 and 3 drops in the deck that there's something you'll likely be able to play, whether it's an unstable portal or a 2-cost minion. Alright, now this is by far the longest game of these first 2 parts, and it's my only loss. I'm going to be facing a Druid. You saw we beat a Dragon Druid in part 1, an incredibly rare find. This is... Now, the reason I kind of made the decisions I'm going to make toward the later parts of this game are... I'm sorry if you hear a lawnmower, I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, so anyway, about the Druid. In my experience, when you face a Druid, it's sometimes the token Druid, but most often a standard combo Druid where they run 2 Savage Roars and 1 Force of Nature. There, I thought of the name of the spell this time. But in also rare cases, there will be a double combo Druid where they run 2 Savage Roars and 2 Force of Natures, which to me is a waste of cards. 4 of your cards in a Druid deck are those spells to get the ultimate combo. Yes, the combo is good, but I would rather sub out 1 Savage Roar or even 1 Force of Nature for another stable minion. But unfortunately, this guy was a double combo Druid. You're going to see I force out him to use one of the combos simply to clear 2 of the 3 minions I have on board at one point. But he perfectly draws into his other combo, and a decision I make to hit him in the face to get him down to like 3 ended up costing me the game because I kept his 4/4 out on the board, so when he used the second combo I had 16 health, so instead of doing 14 damage he was able to do 20, which killed me. So I almost won this game, but I was not expecting a double full combo, which unfortunately he had. But anyway, back to this game. Druid most often doesn't have things to play in the first couple turns unless it's like a Wrath to clear something, so I'm trying to get a noisy board out here, getting as much on my side as I can. Now, to me, this is a horrible play. He uses Innervate and Coin to simply get out a 5/5 and draw 2 cards. But this is like my first debate turn of the match. I'm sitting on getting out a Water Elemental, which I think is a good stable thing to have, but I can just clear his guy by using the Flame Cannon and pinging it, or Flame Cannon and Arcane Missile. So you see I'm even about to play the Water Elemental, and maybe it would have been better, but I decided to clear his guy. And again, the one big AoE for the Druid is Swipe, which does 4 to 1 and 1 to others, so I'd keep a couple of my guys out there from a Swipe. It probably just would have been better to play the Water Elemental, because now I have no minions with attack out there. Alright, so there I could have played Lotheb, but see, like, the problem is when a Tempo Mage like this gets down to just a couple cards. Yeah, I could have played Lotheb. It would have been using all of my mana crystals. It would have been a 5/5. He couldn't have gotten to it. But, of course, Druids are most famous for using their beloved combo, which is 2 key spells. And they often have to start by using the Force of Nature. So keeping Lothab for, say, turn 8 into his turn 9, that's ideal because you're blocking the combo. So that's why I'm trying to sit on Lothab there. Now I have Sylvanas out there. I froze his Belcher, but now he's cleared my Taunters. If there's one other drawback in this deck, it's also the lack of taunt. And I also don't have any heals. I don't think I even play one heal bot in this deck, so you're trying to outpace your opponent, control, get what they have off the board, and chip away at their health. So it's just tough. That's why I probably lose this game, because I was actually debating a lot of these decisions with what is best here. So like this, I end up using Frostbolt on his 4/4 because I know he can come up to use Savage Roar and potentially do a ton of damage to me, or maybe innervate out the combo or something. So it's getting to dangerous territory. So I'm trying to limit his options. So now I'm going to use Lothab. I'm going to me, in the most efficient way, clear his stuff with keeping as many of my guys at high health as I can. And he can't make use of his 4/4, which is now a 4/1. It can't attack, and I could just ping it next turn, or use the arcane missiles. But I then realized, oh crap. Look at the swipe potential here, and the trading to kill off my Sylvanas. He could have given me a 4/1 and then used a swipe. There's all kinds of things. Or use swipe. I mean, it's just... I don't know if I'm making misplays here, if I'm overthinking it, if I do make okay plays, but there's just so many things to consider. I am running out of cards too, and I'm trying to keep the tempo, which is hard when he's drawn so many cards and is sitting on them. At this point, I know he has at least one combo, so I'm just trying to keep his options at a minimum on board so he can't use beyond the regular 14 damage of the combo. That is probably the worst possible trade, though, so he must have a limited card choice to deal with my board if he made that. Because now, when you attack and it freezes your guy, it's going to be frozen through your next turn too, so it's pretty bad to have to do that. Meanwhile, if I had frozen one of his guys... Oh crap. Alright, so we see that I was able to clear both of his guys and get some stuff out, but I have him low. I think, was that 11 health? Yeah. But you see the cards he's sitting on. This is the turn that starts to swing things. He uses the combo to clear Lothab and my Sylvanas. So he attacks one of the first treant into Lothab. He attacks with his face to my face. Uses his second guy on Lothab and then the final guy on Sylvanas. So he actually does a correct order where I don't take one of his guys before he's able to attack. So he does know something. So here comes that first combo. I don't really know what he's debating on there. But there we go, the order I just mentioned. Now, I say hello because I still have my full health elemental. I have a counter spell, which I think is going to block his next combo, which at least for one turn it does. But I was hoping to draw like a damage spell there. Though I can't remember though if I've used... Did I already use both fireballs? I think I did. I used at least one in the Belcher. So I don't really know the best thing to have drawn there would have been. Probably Ragnaros for sure. End the game would have been nice, but when he makes the first guy into a 4/4, I assume he thought it was a mirror entity. But then he had a second one to make into a taunt, which kind of crippled me there. Now he tries to use his Wild Growth to get excess mana to draw a card, but that is negated by the counter spell. So now he unfortunately is able to use the combo next turn, which will kill me. And getting Salty Dog was probably not the best thing from an unstable... Yeah, it's a 7/4, but if that were like a Sludge Belcher or an Ancient of War, a 5/10 with Taunt, or a Sunbreaker, is that what they're called? The Sunwalker, the 4/5 with Taunt and Divine Shield. Those things would have been great. Alright, so now here is the infamous turn. I could have killed off my guy and then Frostbolted the other minion, but then I wouldn't have anything on board, so I Frostbolt the enemy. Now here I'm debating whether or not to freeze his guy and ping face, or freeze the guy, ping, and kill the enemy. But I decide YOLO. He's not going to have a second combo with only a couple cards. And who really runs double combo? I rarely ever see it. But he had double combo. So we have our first loss of this series, but we start with 5 wins, and we almost won this game, so I'm not too mad about it. But he keeps spamming sorry about that, so I go to threaten. Alright, but here we go. Heading into our final game of part 2, and it'll be a win to close it out. Nobody wants to end on a loss. And here we're facing another mage. A lot of people are also running Tempo Mage right now. Some are running Freeze Mage, but you do not see many Mech Mages anymore. This guy actually turns out to be a Mech Mage, and he's running Mana Worm and Unstable Portal. I've seen Unstable Portal a couple times in Mech Mage, but not really Mana Worm. So I don't know if this is kind of like hybrid Mech Mage with some tempo elements to it. Now, the best thing in the world is not to use Mirror Image on your first turn, but I'm thinking I'm going to face another tempo, so I'm just going to throw it out. When else am I going to use it? It'll save me some face damage at least, hopefully. Alright, so pretty obvious. Just use the portal. Now, Defender of Argus is pretty interesting there, because now I could give both of those mirror guys 1 attack and 3 health. It's pretty sweet, but he coins out a guy, so he's able to clear one of the mirror images. And wow, that's when, whoa, like this is not a tempo, unless tempo is the mech element as well. Alright, so turn 3, I'm going to make my Arcane Missiles free. Not that I needed to. I could have played it and then the minion, but didn't really matter. There I want to make it no cost, so I could also then play Defender of Argus. Alright, so we're in a pretty decent spot on board here. We're kind of even. I was hoping he wouldn't have a spell, so we could make the trades this way. Now I could use his 3/1 to take out my 4/3, so it's a good trade for him. Alright, but I have a pretty sweet turn here. I'm able to kill off the Annoyatron, I'm able to ping the Mech Warper, and just in case something crazy happens, I'm just going to get rid of the 2/3 with Wind Fury. And I don't really have a clean way to kill it another way, because it would be able to kill my Defender of Argus and still hit me in the face, and it would have... Oh no, it would have been down to 1 health. I could have pinged it, but... See, now it looks stupid that I don't have the flame cannon, but... I'm sorry if you hear the people working on our neighbor's yard again. Okay, so here, assuming he's going to trade the 5/4 into my 4/4, which gives me spell damage, but that's actually kind of smart. He makes a 2-for-1 trade. You might think I then have to attack in with my 4/4. Sorry, I'm just going to pause in case this is really loud, the lawnmower. Alright, sorry about that. Back to close this out. Okay, so anyway, now I could have played Sylvanas here, but why the hell would I do that? He could trade his weakened guy for Sylvanas, and I get nothing. So I'm just gonna play a secret. Oh my gosh, the lawnmower's coming back. Okay, so yeah, anyway, I was trying to avoid the inefficient trades again. Now, the smart thing to me here would have been to trade. He has this really weak guy and my full health spider tank, but nope. So thank you. That was a terrible misplay. So I'm able to ping off his guy and start to go face myself. So now he's forced on this turn to deal with the spider tank. Now, I could have simply played Rag here, but he has 2 minions out there. That's all I would have been able to do unless I trade with Lothab, and it's not the best spot. So I put out Sylvanas, so I have 2 5/5s. He's left with a 2/3. I could simply play Rag next turn, if makes sense. Now, if he hadn't played Mana Worm, 100% I would have already played Rag the second the turn starts. But now I also get Dr. Boom, so I could get 4 minions out there, and he just has a 1/3. So now next turn, if I play Rag, I have so many different things that I could clear his stuff with that he's forced to deal with right now that he might have to use, say, another Fireball on to get rid of, so then he can't use his other Fireball on my Rag. And there we go. So as best he can, he deals with my minions, but I've been sitting on Rag now for 2 turns, so I'm able to ping off a guy. Now here I'm going to attack with my already weak Lothab because I want to clear the minion, so Rag does 8 to the face. I'm sitting on 2 more minions and a mirror entity. So I'm in almost ideal shape here. It's pretty much impossible to lose from this position. I mean, you could have had Polymorph, but that still wouldn't have really swung things. He's really run out of guys. Now, I could have played the Azure Drake there, but instead I want to get 2 minions out there and a secret and buff up my Mana Worm. And there Rag goes face, so his one hope probably was that it takes out his minion, so he has a way to potentially deal with Rag before it almost kills him. But now basically anything kills him, so I do value, though, that he doesn't concede. He's doing whatever he can to survive. So, good guy that way. So I don't even have to worry about clearing anything and getting to a potential 50-50. Nope. Just Frostbolt the face. Alright, and that does it. 3-1 here in part 2. We're up to 2 stars into rank 16. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with part 3 soon.